everyone, it's Shel from Paper Octio Studio, and today I'm sharing with you a piece that I did for my Mixed Media Moods group on Facebook. You know, I belong to a lot of groups and I don't get all the challenges done, but this group is Jen from Mixed Media Jen and Dee Catron. They both make videos, and you've probably watched them if you watch very many videos. So this is a $1 canvas, not a canvas, it's made out of MDF board, so it's firm, and I got it at the dollar store. And I am using some heavy gesso and then some glass bead gel and putting some texture over it, as well as covering up the design that was on there. You know, you can buy used canvases, or you know, cheap things like this, and just change what it looks like. You don't have to buy expensive stuff. So the next thing I'm doing is taking a scrap of 140-pound watercolor paper, and I'm drawing on some butterfly wings. At the beginning of the video you saw the mood board, which is what the challenge is about, is taking that mood board, being inspired by it, by the colors, by the shapes, and making something yourself. So I really liked the butterfly, that like silvery teal black gray butterfly. So cool. So I wanted to make something like that, and so I'm making my wings out of a heavier stock so that I can paint them and then have them be 3D on my piece. So I cut them out with some sharp scissors, and then I try to decide what I'm going to color them with, and I come up with Inktense pencils because I want to have a lot of color variation, and I want to be able to control it and be able to go back in and put deeper color, but still have it translucent enough that you can kind of, I don't know, I know what I'm talking about, but I can't really say what I mean. I want it to look like those butterflies in the picture. So I'm doing my best to look at those and try to make my butterfly look like that. I didn't get the shape exactly right, but you know, it's close enough. So I'm using, I started out with the black pencil from the Inktense, and it wasn't dark enough, and so I get out the Stabilo All black pencil to do the edges, and then I'm blending that with a water barrel brush, of course. And then I start in with some other colors. The mood board seems to have indigo, navy blue type colors. It seems to have teal and gray and black, and kind of a silvery white, and even a little bit of copper. And those are all colors that I really enjoy, so I thought that this would be a fun thing to do. This mood board would be a fun thing to do. I got that MDF little wall plaque canvas thing. It's like a canvas because it's open in the back, but it's made out of MDF board. I got that when we were doing the dollar store challenge, and I didn't end up using it, so it's been sitting around here. So I'm just picking some different colors, different blues, some greenish teal colors, a little bit of a warmer pink color, and of course then the black. I have a couple different dark blue pencils, and I'm just trying to imitate the colors on those butterfly wings, making them a little bit more intense than they are, because I plan to put a shimmer over the whole thing once I'm done with the colors. That's the reason that I picked the Inktense, because it does, once it's dry, once it's been activated with water and then dry, it's permanent. It becomes ink. So they're kind of like watercolor pencils, but then they become permanent. And I know that I'm going to put this whole covering of pearly shimmery paint over the top, which is a watercolor, and I don't want this under layer to move, and that's the reason that I picked the Inktense. I did one side and then I duplicated it on the other side. I attempted to, you know, I mean, it's not perfect, but duplicated what I did onto the other wing, so I'm just going to cut that part out because you don't need to see me do it all over again. So once that is done, I get out these are the Gansey Tambai watercolors. They're Japanese, and down at the bottom there is this pearl paint, so you can use it in combination with any of the others and make it shimmery. And it's kind of a cool thing, but I'm just going to use it by itself. Before I did that, I painted the back of the wings black because if they show at all, I didn't want them to be white. They would look weird. So I'm just putting this pearly translucent stuff, watercolor paint, over the tops of my butterfly wings. Other options you could use, maybe like a Tattered Angel's Glimmer Mist, or you know, whatever, Magicals or whatever, in a sheer, something that's translucent but just has only shimmer in it, if you don't have these Gansey Tambais. Or even like Wink of Stella would be really pretty. Wouldn't look exactly the same, but see how it gives it a shimmer, but the color's still showing through. And I think that that imitates the butterfly and the mood board pretty well. So then I decide I still need some of those black lines. So I go back in with the Stabilo All pencil and blend it, adding a few more dark areas to the edges and into the interior veins of, you know, where all the little scales on the butterfly come together. Pretty butterfly. Really like it. It's really the reason I decided to do this challenge. So I have so many things to choose from in so many groups, and then of course the things that I need to do myself, like my pick-a-stick challenges and stuff like that, and other things that I've agreed to, and hops, and you know, it just goes on and on. So I did like this challenge a lot, and I just joined this group, and so I think I'll probably do their fun little mood boards as well. Canvas Corp Brands on their blog has a mood board challenge every month as well, where they give a few pictures and then you can be inspired by those to make projects, and you can post them on there, and then if you win, they give product. So you might want to check that out over on the blog at Canvas Corp Brands. I just remember that because that's something I need to do. Yeah, just add that too. I think it has to be turned in by the 20th. Okay, so now what I'm doing is making the wings more dimensional by pressure embossing them, just using a rounded tip of my pen and a spongy mat to just press the centers of them out so that the center becomes bulbed out, and then the edges are flatter, which makes it look a little bit more like wings would look. So then I have a stick from outside, and there was a really cool star made out of sticks on the mood board, so I wanted to use a stick. Unfortunately, all the sticks in Arizona have thorns, and so I stuck myself a few times, so there's probably a little bit of my blood and DNA on this project, you know. It's not good if you don't bleed over it. So I'm using this to make my butterfly body. I realize that the body is too long. It should be a lot shorter. Also, there was a spool of what looked like jute on the mood board, and so I used a little bit of jute and wrapped it around the stick and glued it on there with some Aleene's tacky glue. And then I'm using some 3D gloss gel, which is usually a pretty good glue for things like this. I struggled with it a little bit, but I just cut all that part out. So the next thing, I wanted to use some fabric because there's pictures of fabric on the mood board. And so I decided to use this seam binding ribbon, which I have a huge spool of it. It's, you know, I got it off Amazon. It's giant. And a fun thing to do with it is to color it with sprays. And so I got out some of my Tattered Angel's Glimmer Mist. This one's Dragonfly. And I'm just squirting it. And the fun thing is that the paper underneath, once this is all dry, would be perfect for another mood board project. It's beautiful, and it's all exactly the right same colors, but I used Dragonfly, which is a teal, and then navy, and then some coal black, and then some silver at the end to color this ribbon. And then, of course, I'm drying it. That took a while. But did you see that pretty paper? Pretty, pretty paper. So now I've got my little board back, plaque, or what, I don't know what you call it. You can't call it a canvas because it's not canvas. I don't know. It's like a canvas, sort of. And I decided to use some modeling paste and a honeycomb stencil, because there's a picture of these flakes of maybe abalone or something on the mood board, and they're kind of in the shape of a hexagon. So I thought, well, I can put a little bit more dimension on there, more texture, by doing this. So I tried to color it. I thought it would be dumb to leave it white, but my color turned out pretty bad. But then I didn't want to waste it, and I knew I was going to be painting over everything anyway, so I just left it. It's not the color I wanted at all, but you know, I didn't want to waste it. I didn't want to throw it away just because it didn't come out the right color when I knew I was going to do all this painting. So once everything is dry, all my textures are dry, now I'm going to do some dripping and, you know, spattering and all kinds of things to make kind of an abstract background. This is so fun. Going over the texture and seeing what you get is just, it's so fun. And what I like to use for this is these golden high flow acrylic paints. They're a very highly pigmented paint, but it's very liquidy, very fluid. They put a dry airbrushing medium in it, I think, or something like that, that lets it maintain its intensity while you know, making it more fluid. If you were to try to take a craft paint and then put water in it to make it this fluidy, you would lose your intensity and opacity because it just doesn't have enough pigment in it. It's got a lot of filler. So these are really worth it. I know they're expensive, but they're really worth it. They're so fun. And the colors I'm using are teal, indigo, fine copper, carbon black, and then this is titanium white, and I also used warm gray. It might be called shading gray, either shading gray or warm gray. And I just drip them on there. Sometimes I put water on to encourage it to flow. I also dry in between sometimes, not every time, but when I get an effect that I want to keep and I don't want anything else to mess it up, then I go ahead and dry and then go on to the next layer. So this was probably the most fun part of this project. I could do this all day, just sit around and drip paint all day. It would be fun. It'd be really fun. And I think it matches the mood board pretty well, the colors that I picked. If I'd had more of a darker teal color, that might have been a little bit better. And the indigo actually turned out to have quite a bit of purple in it. I get confused by that color. I keep thinking it's like a navy blue, but it ends up being more of a, I don't know, a dark purple but also blue color. Then I added some spritzes and splatters of a little bit of the Tattered Angels sprays over the top and dried that up really good. Just black spatters and then a little bit of that Dragonfly teal to give some shimmer. So here's my ribbon that I had colored with the sprays, and I'm just wrapping it around. I don't care what it looks like in the back. It's going to be hanging up against a wall, so it won't matter. You won't see the back. And then also some of the jute, I tied that on and wrapped it around as well. And I don't want it to be perfect. I want it to be real messy, off center, not, you know, perfect, not symmetrical. I'm trying to like mess it up and fluff up the ribbon and everything. And then I'm going to put my butterfly on there. Before I do that, I'm adding some more copper. The butterfly didn't get any copper, so I was adding a little bit of copper to it in order for it to blend with the copper in the background. And then also adding some copper splatters. If you're enjoying this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment so that I know that you were here. Subscribe if you haven't already, and you can turn on the little bell to make notifications of when I put out a new video, which is usually every other day. And then if you really like it, you can pin it to Pinterest or share it on Facebook or Twitter. All those things really help my channel because it tells other people that I'm making something valuable that they may want to see, and YouTube will recommend me. So then I attached my butterfly with some hot glue, and I cut little really thin strips of black cardstock for the little antenna, and I also end up adding some copper glass glitter. It's a Prima Art Basics product, right next to the body, just to kind of give more texture and shine. And yeah, I think the only thing I have left to do is touch up the edges of the black. I didn't cover the black of the original frame because I knew I wanted the whole edges to be black when I was finished, but then I kind of got stuff all over it and all over my hands. My hands are ridiculous. They're like black and splattered with teal and I don't know what all, but yeah. So once that was done, I was complete with this project. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll put the link to the Mixed Media Moods Facebook group underneath the video in the See More area. And if you want to try to join that group, you can go and ask for them to add you. And that's it for me. Thanks. Bye-bye.